Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria Salinas, and I'm a digital marketing specialist here at United Training. Welcome to today's webinar, 5 Tips in 20 Minutes Microsoft Teams, presented by David Lalonde. We're using the GoToWebinar platform for today's session, and we will be sharing a copy of this recording with you. We do encourage participation throughout the webinar, so please use the questions options in your GoToWebinar dashboard for our Q&A portion after the presentation. United Training is excited to present this webinar today. I'll now hand it over to you, David.
All right, thanks, Maria. So welcome everyone to our 5 Tips in Teams webinar. My name is Dave Lalonde, and for the next 20 or so minutes, I've got some tips that I think everybody should know in Teams, or at least every Teams user should know. So this session will be mostly demonstration only, but while I am teaching, feel free to type in questions in that chat box if you have any, and once I'm done with my topics, we'll start answering those questions. But just to give you an idea of our topics for today, we're going to begin by working with the Teams search bar. We'll use some Teams message options that you might not be aware of. That can be quite useful for the program. We'll work with tags in Teams. I'll introduce more meeting options to you that, again, you might not be aware of. And then finally, we'll talk about how we can actually access version history for files in Teams in case you ever need to revert back to a previous version. It's not readily apparent where that is in Teams, but it does exist, and I'll show you how to access that. And again, anytime we do have leftover, once I get through these topics, will be Q&A, so don't hesitate to type in that chat box anytime you come up with a question. All right, so I'm going to begin with that first topic using the Teams search bar, and I will bring up my Teams app. All right, so yes, at the very top of Teams, we do have a search bar where we can search for all different kinds of items or people or messages. But we can do more than just searching right here. You can actually use the search bar as a commands bar to command Teams to do, well, different things for you. So as soon as I do click in that search bar, it does say look for messages, files, and more, or type / for a list of commands. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Type / on my keyboard, and this list of commands will pop up, which again, we could do a variety of things here. First of all, you can use these commands to change your instant messaging status, let people know if you're available or away. So if I'm going to be right back, I just need to step out of my room real quick. I can type in /BRB in the search bar, press enter, and my status is being set to be right back. As soon as I come back from my break or whatever I'm doing, I can just click in that search bar again and type in /available and enter. And now my status is being set to available. All right, typing / in that search bar again, you can also use these commands to go to certain locations within Teams, certain channels. You can chat with specific people if you'd like to. You can find specific things. Another useful keyboard or command, I should say here, would be /keys. Now, anytime you type in /keys in that search bar and press enter on your keyboard, that actually brings up a list of Teams keyboard shortcuts. And there are quite a few of these, more than we can cover in this session, but they're worth taking a look at to see if any of these hotkeys might benefit you, might save you some time. All right. So yes, the search bar, we can use commands here, but it is also just a regular search bar. I can just search for something generic, maybe like sales. And I'll just type in sales and press the enter key. And this will bring up our search results. So you can find your search results across different tabs at the very top of Teams here. All search results, but we could look specifically for messages, and we can see who posted the message. We can see where the message was posted, what team, what channel, and we can even go to that message if we want to see the full thing. We have a people tab at the top where if I knew anyone with the name sales, they would pop up here. I don't know anyone with that name, probably for the best. So I can then skip on to files. And any files that contain the word sales, will appear right here. And when you do use the team search bar, you're searching through all of your teams, not just one single team. I might want to refine my search. If I'm looking for a specific file, I might be looking in a certain team or for a certain file type. And you do have filter options at the top here. You can click where it says team to search for one. File type, if I'm just looking for an Excel file, I can choose Excel. And that will apply my filter. You can always click on clear all at the top to clear out the filter. And once you are done searching in Teams, when you just want to go back to your regular Teams interface, I just recommend clicking on one of the tabs over on the left-hand side, like your Teams tab. All right, so always good to know functions of the search bar. Now there are some additional message options in Teams that I want to talk about. And messages in Teams can be more than just simply text. There's a lot more we can do here. So I've got this team right here called Team Neptune, and I think I want to post a new message to this channel. I can click on New Conversation down below and begin typing in my message. Okay, but you'll see underneath where you're typing in the message, there are some additional icons that you can use. First icon, the letter A with a little marker, would be your formatting options. You can click on that to bring up basic formatting options, but there's actually more than just formatting options here that I want to mention. Once you do bring up the formatting options, yes, if I want, I can make my selected text bold, italic, underline, apply font colors, highlighter colors, change the size, just the basics. But above these formatting options are a few more. Where it says new conversation, I can click here and instead post an announcement, which would give me a nice big old banner at the top where I can type in a headline, and you can even customize the banner on the right-hand side, changing colors or adding in pictures. I'll just switch back to conversation. Also, this is the location where you can go if you need to post this message in multiple channels. This was not always a feature in Teams. It was added some time ago, like a year or two ago. But if you choose to post in multiple channels, that will bring up the option to select channels. And then I can post this message to any other team that I'm a part of, any other channel. Just have to check those boxes and update this. All right. Okay, we'll close out of those formatting options. So also in Teams, we do have fun things like GIFs and emojis and stickers. You can click on that GIF icon. There's a search bar for your GIFs where you can search for something maybe lighthearted, like let's do a puppy today. Search for a puppy, and there you go. You can select a GIF, post that, and maybe brighten up my coworkers' days. Now, it's possible in your team options to disable these fun things like GIFs and stickers, but I do like to use those in Teams. They are quite nice. Start a new conversation. You also have, yep, stickers and memes that you can apply, but that's just some fun stuff. There are some more icons here with some more useful items. First of all, you have an icon for Stream. Stream is an Office 365 app that is used for storing and sharing videos. So if you have a video on your Stream account and you want to post that to Teams, you can do that right here. There's a little ribbon icon where you can give praise to someone, little badges or icons to let them know that they're a good problem solver or have a kind heart, maybe boost their morale. There's another icon with a little check mark and a circle around it, and these are approvals. If you didn't know, you can actually request approvals in Teams. I'll click on that approvals icon, and here I can actually choose a basic request, type in the name of my request, type in the name of the approver who would need to approve this, and any additional details. And so if I need to request permission for something, I could do so right through Teams. Pretty handy. And then to the right of all these options, underneath our conversation options, you can find 3 dots. Click on that for even more apps. You can access more apps that might allow you to add things to your conversation here, such as forms. Forms, choosing forms in the post tab for a message would actually allow you to create a poll for your team. Yeah, so maybe I want to know what should we get for lunch today? And I can go ahead and type in all my different options like pizza or subs, add more if I need to, but then I can preview that and send. Okay, and might take a second, but that should post, yep, our poll right here. So people can come in, respond to our poll, and we'll know what to order for lunch. Okay. You can also save messages for future use. If you ever hover your cursor over a message in Teams, like so, You will see additional response options appear in the top right-hand corner, different emojis for different kinds of feedback, smiley faces, a thumbs up. You can also click on three dots for even more options like to edit or delete your message, or perhaps save your message for later. And if I do choose to save a message, if I ever want to access that message in the future, top right-hand corner of Teams, you can click where you see your initials or your picture, and your saved messages are right here, saved. All right. Yep. All the results will appear over on the left-hand side of Teams. Okay, so kind of tying in with our message options, I also want to discuss working with tags in Teams. We do have the ability to assign different people to, well, different tags, and we can actually quickly message people that are all in the same tag all at once. Very useful for sending messages to specific groups of people very quickly. There are a couple ways to create tags for Teams. So bringing up the Teams app, one way to do this, to the right of your team, you can find and click on these three dots for more options. And toward the bottom of the options, you may find Manage Tags. Click on Manage Tags. Should take you to this Tags tab in your team settings where we can create a tag. Now, one thing I want to mention before I create this tag is that by default, only team owners can create tags, but all members can use tags. You can also change a setting to allow members of teams to create their own tags if you'd like. I'll show you where to get that in just a moment. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new tag, and maybe I'll have a tag for anyone that's a part of, oh, I don't know, sales. Yes, this will be the sales tag. And I can go ahead and add people to this tag. Just begin typing in my coworkers' names. And when I see them pop up here, I will just select their name and add them. And I can add as many people as I want to sales. Okay. Choose my coworkers, and then when I'm done, click on Create in the bottom right-hand corner. So now I have two members of the sales team. Okay, now another way to do this, to assign tags to people, if you do click on the three dots next to your team name, there's a Manage Team option, which should bring up these tabs right here at the top that we have already. But there's another tab at the top here for Members. And when I go to Members, I can see all the owners of my team. I can see any additional members or guests of my team. But over on the right-hand side, there is a Tags column. And I can see for these two coworkers, they actually have a tag already, sales, if I hover my cursor over that. But maybe I want to assign someone else to a new tag. So here's another coworker. I'll hover my cursor over this little tag that pops up in that tags column. And I can either assign them to an existing tag like sales, or I can just type in a new tag name. Maybe this person will be a part of training. So I'll type in training. There is no training tag. I will need to create one. Create training tag. Very good. All right. Now, the whole reason why we might create tags like this is because if I go to have a conversation somewhere, maybe start a new conversation in this channel. Well, let's say I need to send a message to my sales staff, something that I'll know that they'll get, maybe get a notification for in that activity tab in the top left-hand corner. Well, anytime you want to mention a tag, you put in the @ symbol, Shift 2 for @, and I can do @sales. That's right, @sales. I'll see that tag pop up. I see two people have the tag. I can click on that and send this message to those two people, and they'll get a notification about this as well because they were, again, mentioned. Now, otherwise, you can mention people individually in Teams. I can do this instructor right here, another instructor here, but that might take some time. If I have a bunch of people that are part of sales, it would be a lot easier just to do @sales and just do that tag. All right. So another item you should consider starting to use in Teams. And as I mentioned before, by default, only team owners can create tags, although everyone can use them. If you want to allow team members to create tags as well, you'll need to get to your team settings. Click on the three dots to the right of your team name, followed by Manage Team. Clicking on Manage Team will bring up these tabs at the top, and one of the tabs will be Settings. When I do select the Settings tab, you can find a lot of good team settings here. So if you're a team owner, you can find member permissions here to pick and choose what members can or cannot do in a team. But we have tags at the very bottom. When I click on tags, I can see that tags are managed by team owners right now, but I could change this to team owners and members. So then everyone in my team should pretty much be able to create tags if they would like. All right, but that is up to you if you are the team owner, if you want to turn that on or off. Okay, a couple more topics before we get into Q&A. Next one would be covering more meeting options in Teams. So yes, we can always create Teams meetings, have our team members join us. People from outside our team can join us as well. And you can either create a meeting while you are in a channel of a team. There's a meet option in the top right-hand corner, or you can always go to your team's calendar. Click on that calendar tab on the left-hand side of the Teams app, and we can see what we're doing for the week, any upcoming meetings. But if we want to create a new meeting, that option is in the top right-hand corner. So yes, I'll just make a new basic meeting. Okay. I'll add a title for this. Maybe this is just like a weekly team meeting, something kind of generic. Add required attendees. I'll skip that for now. Get back to that. Choose the date and the time for your meeting. I'll set up this meeting to occur later today. Oh, maybe at like 2 o'clock. All right, you can add your meeting to a channel. If any team that you're a part of, you can select that team, select the channel of that team, where you want to have that meeting take place. And just to clarify these terms, teams and channel that I'm using, in this app, a team is a group of people that need to work together and collaborate with each other on different things, or communicate with each other. The channel is the actual location where they need to have a conversation or store files. So the team's the group of people, the channel is the location where they meet and do things. All right, so I pick my team, pick my channel, great. Can type in additional details for my meeting down below, but I'm going to skip that. For required attendees, you can add attendees for people both in your team and outside of your team. That is okay, but you don't have to. People that are a part of your team will be able to see this posted meeting in the channel anyway and join it when it rolls around. Okay, but I'm just going to go ahead and create my meeting. Click on send in the top right-hand corner, and that should pop up in my calendar. Now, this is something you might know already, something you've done before. But what you might not know is that there are actually more meeting options. You might not be aware of this, though, because we don't actually have access to these meeting options until after the meeting is created. And these meeting options typically deal with the lobby, sharing, user permissions, things like that. Now, this meeting is still loading up in my calendar, so I can't select it yet, but I created another meeting just in case this happens. I'm going to double click on this Team Neptune meeting I have for tomorrow to open up all of my meeting details. I can change any of the details that I applied previously, but where's that? Yep. At the very top here, to the right of these options like cancel meeting or my time zone, there are 3 more dots I can click on for meeting options. Yep, meeting options. This should bring up a new web browser tab. It's putting on my other screen, but here it is, with these actual meeting options. So again, these options have to deal with like the lobby, screen sharing, user permissions. Yes, Teams does have a lobby for meetings. You might not have realized that because, well, everybody can bypass the lobby by default. But if you need some time to set up the meeting yourself, you don't want anybody to join just yet, you can make it so that maybe only you can bypass the lobby and then let people in as you see fit. You can also choose who can present here. Could be everyone, just you, or maybe only specific people. Can choose whether or not you want to allow the microphone or camera for attendees. If you don't want them to communicate with you using these devices, you can turn that off. You can also record your meeting automatically if you'd like. And if you do make any changes to these settings, don't forget to click on Save down below. Yeah, more options that, again, you can't access until after a meeting is created, but worth looking into. And since we are on the topic of meeting options, another thing I want to remind you, another useful option is to use virtual backgrounds for your meetings. We don't always have our background looking all nice or fancy. We might have people walking around or pets walking around, might be very distracting. Maybe you're in your kitchen, you've got a sink full of dirty dishes behind you. Well, you don't want anybody to see that in a meeting. If I were to create a meeting in the desktop app, by the way, of Teams, you cannot do this in the Teams web app. But actually, sorry, I need to turn off my camera in GoToWebinar real quick. So I'm just going to disappear for a second so I can pop back up in the Teams meeting here. All right, so when I do join a Teams meeting from my desktop device, or my desktop app, I should say, and Teams camera does capture a bit more than other programs, just so you are aware. Kind of see the edges of my screen. But you have background filters. Right at the bottom of your video, you can choose these background filters. So you can choose maybe just an office setting that will pop up behind you, or you can just blur your screen. And it's not 100% perfect. You'll see things get kind of blurry on the sides here and there, but still might be better than whatever background you have going on behind you. Always turn that off at the top, but not a bad idea to use those background filters for Teams meetings. Okay, one more topic, and then I'll open up the floor for any questions. Accessing version history for files in Teams. This is good thing to know about. So in Teams, yes, we can store files that are shared with our fellow coworkers, and we can even work on these files with our coworkers at the same time as them. For any channel that you go to in any team for this app, there will be a Files tab right at the top of Teams that you can click on. Yep, find any files that you or your team members have uploaded here. By the way, for team meetings, if you ever do a recording of a meeting, these will now automatically show up in a recordings folder in your Files tab. Used to be the recordings would be in that Stream app that I mentioned earlier in the session, but good to be aware of that. But with these documents, with these files, we have access to different options. If I hover my cursor over a document, I can click on these three dots to the right-hand side to open it, download a copy, delete it, rename it, move or copy it. And if I hover my cursor over more options down below, I can also check the document out, making me the only person who can edit the document until I check it back in. Useful feature. So we have a lot of similar options to files in maybe SharePoint, which you might have used before. SharePoint is another Office 365 app that functions as a collection of company websites, but it has similar file storage capabilities to Teams, in fact, even a couple more of them. Well, the thing is, these Teams files are actually stored in SharePoint. Yep, looks like they're stored in Teams, but they're actually stored in SharePoint. And in SharePoint, we might have access to a few additional file options, specifically version history. So whenever you open up a document and you begin working on that document, like I'll just open up this Word document, as you make changes to the document, it'll be saved automatically, and there will be a version created for the document. As someone else comes in and works on the document again, another version will be created. And here I have this Word document, a statement of work that says final copy for this year, 2022. That was updated from an older file with an older year that said draft only. Now, maybe I made a mistake and I realized that older version is the correct version, has the correct information. How would I take care of this? How would I access this version history from Teams? Well, at the very top of your Files tab, next to all of your file options, there are three dots you can click on to bring up an option to open in SharePoint. Yep. You can open this file in SharePoint. That will bring up a new browser tab of SharePoint, where I will see all the same Teams documents, but this is indeed SharePoint now. Now, I don't want to get too in-depth into SharePoint here, but the main thing I want to point out is that for this document, if I hover my cursor over it, I can click on these three dots to the right, and here is my version history option. Select version history. I can see the previous versions for this document. And if I hover my cursor over the date and time of a previous version, a drop-down arrow will appear where I can view details about the version, delete it, or restore it. And I will actually restore the original version of the document, which will replace the version I just had. which I could always go back to and replace that if I needed. But all right, now that I have changed that version, we'll get SharePoint out of the way. Okay. And hopefully it syncs up to Teams quickly. So when I open up this document, it should say draft only at the top, not final copy, and also have an earlier year. And there you go. Statement of work 2016 draft only. So version history is very useful in Teams. It's just a little trickier to access. It's more hidden, I guess you could say. All right, but that's all the tips that I have for the webinar. It's 5 useful tips I think we should all be aware of if we are Teams users. So at this point in time, I'll open up the floor for any questions. If you do have any questions on these topics or just questions about Teams in general, feel free to type those in the chat box. And if no questions come in, well, I'll just hand the floor back over to Maria.
Hey, David, we do have a couple of questions ready to go. So the first one here from John says, can you use a wildcard star for searches? Is that
Ooh, that's actually a really good question. I love using wildcards in Excel all the time. Let's actually look that up real quick. I'd like to know that. For those of you that are unaware of wildcards are like special characters like asterisks or question marks that account for unknown characters. So let's say you're searching for a person and you don't know how to spell their last name, but that's what you're typing in. You only know part of it. You could type in the part you know, put in an asterisk, and that would account for any unknown characters for that name. I'm not sure we actually have that feature in Teams, but I'll double check on that one because that's a good question.
awesome? I would also like to preface there are a lot of questions coming in, so if we don't get to your question, I apologize, but we will have someone follow up with you and reach out to you about your question. And we have another question here from Larry. When you post a message to multiple channels, does it consolidate all the replies or does it then become a separate conversation in each channel?
Separate conversations because you're going to have different members of different teams. They can't necessarily respond to the same message in a different location.
Awesome. We have another one here from Mary. Can you talk about using apps Diligent and are you able to share the screen?
Uh, Diligent. Diligent Teams has a lot of apps that are associated with it that can be brought in. So unfortunately, I'm not familiar with every app, um, especially if it's not a Microsoft app. I'll have to look into that one.
Perfect. We got a couple more questions here. When you post something for approval in the channel, does everyone in the channel have visibility to it?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I was distracted there.
You're okay. When you post something for approval in the channel, does everyone in the channel have visibility to it?
Uh, if you post, they should, but you can also actually access approvals elsewhere from conversations, and I should actually mention that. So over on the left-hand side of Teams here, you've got 3 dots underneath your tabs, and you can click on that to bring up additional apps, and one of these should be approvals. Yep, approvals right here. I'll add the tab, and you can actually go ahead and create approvals right here and see any approvals that you have received or approvals that you have sent. Okay.
Awesome. Another one here from Kia.
Uh,
Save message. Oh, I'm so sorry. You get to go?
oh yeah, no, the approvals from there shouldn't be posted to the channel if you do it from that method.
Okay,
Also, I'm not seeing anything for wildcards and teams to answer that other question.
awesome. We have
Wait,
another. Oh.
did I? Something else? Okay, I'm getting conflicting information here. All right, sorry, we'll come back to that one. Go ahead and continue.
No worries. It seems that someone in the chat said that it worked for them. So,
It worked for you. Okay, good.
okay, cool, perfect. Will these saved messages expire from Monica?
Nope.
Nope.
Saved messages, they do not expire. At least not as far as I can tell. If they do expire, it takes years. So yeah.
Awesome. Alrighty. Will the members get a notice when you add them to a tag?
When they get added to a tag, I don't believe they'll get a notification when they get added to a tag, but anytime you use the tag, they will get a notification there. And they can always go to team settings to see what tags they might be a part of.
Perfect. If a member of a team creates a tag, is the tag available to all members of that team or are they user specific?
Nope, they are available to all members of that team, but just for that team. So if you go to a different team, you will have a different set of tags. Again, only owners can create tags by default, but anyone can use them.
Awesome. This question says, what if you don't have the calendar tab? That sounds like a later version of Teams.
Um, it could also be that while your organization determines what aspects of teams are going to be available to their employees, and it could be that there are certain things that have been disabled for your organization. You can always contact IT about that or whoever is in charge of teams for your organization about that calendar tab. But the calendar tab should be a default tab in Teams for most people.
Perfect. If I didn't create the group, do I need permission to see the schedule assistant when creating an appointment? Also, is there a way to automatically insert the names of those in the group in an appointment rather than individually input the names?
Okay, well, the second question I can answer with tags. Yep, the same tags that you used or I showed you earlier, you could use those to invite people, sure. And sorry, what was the first question again? Let's do a puppy today.
S- If I didn't create the group, do I need permission to see the schedule assistant when creating an appointment?
Oh, the scheduling assistant. You should be able to tell if certain people can meet at certain times, even if you didn't create the group, if that's what you're asking.
I think that's exactly what they're asking.
That's
We have another one here from Un. How do you get meeting recordings all in one place? Ours still saves to the meeting thread.
to the meeting thread. Okay, so when you do a meeting recording, that recording will actually appear in the post tab. So if I did a recording for this meeting, we see the little video right here. Once it was done processing, you could play it, but that's not where the recording is actually stored. That's just a post of it. Again, it used to be that your team's recordings were stored in the Streams app, which you could access from Office 365 online, but they changed it not that long ago. And now anytime, well, the first time you record a meeting for a team, in your Files tab, a recordings folder will automatically be created, and that's where they will be stored. So they should all be organized in the same place automatically.
Awesome. We have another one here from Julie, and we'll probably end it right here at this one because I know we're a couple minutes over already. Julie asks, if I schedule a meeting with my Teams group and invite a guest that is not a part of my Teams group, would that guest be able to view all of our meeting chats on that channel?
Yes, meeting chats are posted to the post tab once you are done with the meeting. So yes, if it was mentioned in a meeting, it should be posted to the actual post tab, and a guest would be able to see that.
Well, all right. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for all your questions. Again, if you have any other further ones, someone will reach out to you and contact you about any of those. Other than that, thank you so much, David. This was a lot of great information. And again, we will be sharing this recording with all of you in an email after the webinar. So be on the lookout for that if you want to go back and take a look at any of these tips. Thanks
Thank
again
you.
and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye.